Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Cool Colas here to bring you the hustler's perspective. Hope everybody is having a good day today. Hope everybody got a chance to enjoy this nice hot weather that was outside. I know I did. It's a little too hot now, but I think it'll cool down in a couple minutes or so here. It's around like 9 o'clock, but anyways, I want to get into the topic at hand. So, if you guys didn't get a chance to check out my blog this week on thehustlersjackpot.com, then you'll actually be able to get a live action version of that here today on the Hustler's Perspective YouTube channel. I want to talk to you all about Shipt and do a hustle review on what it's like to do Shipt as a side hustle. So, I kind of did one similar on the Uber platform a couple videos ago or so, and I talked about some of the pros and cons to driving for Uber, how the pay is distributed, and some other little things, and what I felt were like the pros and the cons of doing Uber as a side hustle. Now I want to do the same stuff with Shipt. Okay, so first, Shipt is a company where you can deliver groceries to customers who are ordering the groceries and then sending out the orders for people to pick them up. So in other words, it's a grocery delivery company. And in this company, essentially, you will work as an independent contractor, and you are going to get the groceries, as in you'll receive the list, and then you'll go and then you'll retrieve them for the customer that you have signed up to do a shop for, and then you go to their home and you deliver the groceries to their home. So Shipt is a company that's been around since the summer of 2014. Their headquarters, I believe, is in Birmingham, Alabama. They also have a location in San Francisco, California. They've been able to optimize their program into a little bit less than 60 different cities all over the United States. So it is getting pretty big. So it's a pretty important side hustle, I think, for people to kind of get on because it's new and they have a lot of promotions and things to kind of offer because of that. So Shipt again it's a side hustle that allows you to deliver groceries to people, and you make your money based off of the combination of time and the amount of items, and then your pay is based off of those kind of things. And every pay is like different depending on like whatever your order is, depending on like how big it is or how small it is. So a lot of you are probably wondering what possessed me to do something such as delivering groceries, because I mean, who really thinks about doing groceries, like delivering groceries, as a side hustle? So the reason why I started doing Shipt was because I wanted a new way to, or a new side hustle more so to do to help me make money. So essentially, because I lost my job, like I told you before, I started doing Uber in order to be able to make up the money that I wasn't making at the point where I did not have a job anymore. So when I started doing Uber, what I realized is that I had a lot of expenses and I was not making enough money to be able to cover those expenses. And it was getting very difficult. So I said I had to figure out another way to bring another side hustle into my life and bring something that was going to give a little bit of an extra cushion for me and help me earn some like extra money. So I started doing Shipt because it was that cushion that I kind of needed to try to earn a little bit of extra cash. It was another independent contracting firm, just like Uber was. So I was, kind of essentially doing the same thing, except instead of with a car, I was doing it with, grocery stores. Instead of being in a car 24/7, and my car is my office, basically the grocery store was like my place of residence at, with doing this side hustle. So a lot of you are probably wondering now how that process works. How do you get onboarded as a Shipt worker or Shipt independent contractor? So the first thing that happens is you go to the Shipt.com website, you sign up to try to become a grocery deliverer, and then what's going to happen is you'll get a prompt by your email, and they'll ask you to take a background check, like have a background check assessed for you, and then you're going to have to do an interview. And the interview process, it's computerized, so you can either do it on your phone, you can do it on a tablet, or you can do it literally on your computer. So basically you send out or you answer questions based off of text. So you type in your answers, and then as far as your like the final answers, you have to actually record videos of yourself, and you have to take the videos, and you have to actually send those recordings that you did to them to be able to answer some of the questions that they give you. So once you do that and you pass the interview, then you'll be able to, and the background check, of course, you'll be able to start working for Shipt as an independent contractor. Now, one thing that'll happen is they'll send you a card in the mail. The card will be a green Shipt card and allow you to go into the grocery stores, and when they load up the card with money, you can swipe the card and then pay for the groceries for the person. So essentially what happens is you'll have to download this Shipt Shopper app. So for the Shipt Shopper app, it gives you a command prompt that has a lot of different options. So it'll have the available shops. It'll give you your ability to schedule. It'll give you the ability to use a share code so that people can get money off of groceries, and we'll get to that in a minute. It'll give you stuff such as the previous orders that you've done, and it'll tell you like your rating and like your and then your current shops, like the current ones that you're doing at that moment. So let's kind of talk about how you actually schedule yourself to do shops. So there is an actual schedule prompt on the app that I just told you all about, and when you go on there, what you do is you can sign yourself up for the certain area. So you basically have a city that you're shopping in, and then they have specific areas where like the Myers are located, because essentially with Shipt, they're doing a partnership with Meijer. And the partnership that they're doing with Meijer allows them to do this shopping in Meijer's grocery stores. Now, mind you, I think at some point it's going to expand and it's going to be bigger than Meijer. That's my opinion. But right now, like, they're working with Meijer to do the program that I'm telling you all about. So like, they have different Meijer locations in your city, like the metro parts of your city, and you can designate which ones you want to do. So you can set yourself up so that you can do those particular areas, and then you can also set up the times that you want to do it, which the times are from any time that you pretty much want on any day. And when you put yourself on the schedule, you'll get notifications via phone on when there's shops available and things like that. So if you schedule yourself for a shop, what you'll get is you'll, like, essentially when you go to available orders, that's where you're going to see kind of like the list of shops that are going to be available for you for like when you, like I said, put yourself on the schedule. And then they just have metro order promotionals even if you don't set yourself up for the metro orders. So essentially whenever you see an available order, this is how it will look. It'll show you like the to and from, so like what area, which Meijer you'll be going to and shopping at, or the closest one to the person that you're delivering it to, with either or. And then you're going to see where that place is that it has to be delivered at, where your groceries have to be delivered. Then it'll also show you the amount of items that are going to be in your cart. It'll show you the time estimated that it will take for you to finish the shop. And then it will tell you the pay that you will get for the shop as well too, once upon completion. So then when you go to your Meijer location, essentially what you do is you are going to go to a screen like on your phone, and this is when, of course, when you already have the shop assigned to you, and then it'll tell you the list of items that are actually on the grocery list of the person who is requesting this order, basically. And then it'll have like specific instructions. Like some of them will say the person is prompting you to contact them if you have any issues, like if, of course, an item is out of stock, or you don't see that specific item that they're requesting in their list. it could say like contact them, or it could say use your best judgment. So all of them are different because everybody has different ways that they kind of go about, doing their shopping and, specifically giving out orders for Shipt. So you'll see that. You'll see an actual automated telephone number that Shipt gave you if you wanted to contact them for proper etiquette. I actually didn't know this until maybe like my third or fourth shop, but it's proper etiquette for you to send them a text message from that automated texting number that they gave you of the person who you're delivering it to, and then asking them if there's items that they needed to be added to the list. And then usually they'll respond later to tell you yes or no, and then you can keep shopping pretty much from there. So essentially when you start like getting the items for your grocery cart, what you'll do is you'll take the item and then like you'll scan it. You'll either scan it, or what the other thing that you can do if you can't find like the little barcode is you can just say that you actually got it. So sign it off like on the list and then say that this item was found already and put it into your cart. So once you do all that, you check out and then you go through the process that I told you about earlier, where you get your green Shipt card that I told you about, and that's how you're going to pay for your the groceries that you just shopped for that person who had that order. And then they'll have you at the front desk, they'll have you sign this tax form, when you're doing it. And then at the end, you're going to have to sign out basically of the app to say that you completed the shop. Then you're going to have to take a picture of the receipt. You don't give them a receipt, you keep that. And then like they'll get an electronic copy via Shipt of like what they ordered basically. So that's pretty much what you do when you're in the store. Then when you're done, they have another command prompt where, for text messages where, with that automated system that they gave you, the automated number that they gave you, that they gave you for that person, you can actually text them and tell them that you're on your way. So you go and you deliver it to them. When you're done, you press this button that says that you have delivered the shop or the I guess order already, and then you're done and you get paid after that. So that's pretty much how that works as far as like the onboarding process, and then how it works to actually do Shipt itself. That's like what you'll have to go through. Now let's talk about how the pay works. So first of all, your pay is based off of in my opinion, is based off of the amount of items that person has, where the items are located, and how specific they are, and things like that. And then like they give you an estimated time, and then they give you like a certain pay range. So I'll give you an example of like how it could look. You could see something that'll say for an hour and 30 minutes worth of work, you may get $18 to $24, depending on if they add items / take items off, whatever the case is, and they estimate your pay for you on what you could get. So they give you a range, and then they estimate the time that it would take for you to do it. So essentially, with the pay, there are two things that can happen in my opinion in your favor. And that's one of the pluses, I think, about like working for Shipt as an independent contractor. You can get promo pays, or you can get tips. For promo pays, they help because essentially they usually put promo pays onto orders that have a certain urgency. So for example, let's say it's like 3:30, and then you have an order that's due between 4 and 5 o'clock, and you haven't started yet or haven't checked it out, and then doing the order is like takes an hour, or the estimated time for the order is an hour long. And then they may say that the original pay for that hour-long process is $9 to $12, and then they give you a promo pay, and that promo pay adds on, I don't know, like it can like range all the way from $1 to $30. I've seen it like all over the board. It just kind of just depends on what time of day and year special is going on. But let's say it has like a $10 promo, for example, on it. So instead of you possibly shooting for $9 to $12 for an hour's worth of work, you could be shooting for $19 to $22 worth of work. You just don't really like know how lucrative it's going to get until that promo pay hits. Then you're like, whoa, like I gotta pick it up now because it's so lucrative. But those are the best times I think to capitalize as far as like promo pays go. They have them like when there's an urgency. The other one is tips. People usually tip fairly well, at least in my area. I'm predominantly in the Grand Rapids, Michigan area. I would say out of all the times that I've done shops, I have been tipped maybe 60% of the time. So, for odds and then compared to Uber, that's great because Uber, I'm probably tipped maybe like 20% of the time. But as far as it raised a little bit with the option to kind of put it in the app and things like that. But like I think people are more aware now that you can tip, but it was pretty low. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Uber. We're here to talk about Shipt. 60% of the time, I would say that they did tip, and they usually tip pretty well. I've had tips that have been anywhere between $3, I think was the lowest, and I think the highest was maybe like $20. So, which I'm saying that like that's not a big deal, but really it is kind of like a big deal because $20 is a lot of money. $20 for a shop itself would have been a lot of money. So think about it. You can make a nice bit of money from doing some of these shops. I've heard some people, they've like walked away with like $400 from like just a week's worth of like doing Shipt shops. But then again, like, you hear stories with people and sometimes they exaggerate. But I mean, that could be very well possible because he, like this guy who told me this, he wasn't the only one to tell me that he walked away with like over like $400 or over $300 or whatever it was, because I heard somebody else say they made like $350 like in a week. Some people said $400. Some people said I heard one person say $450. So I mean, like, it's probably possible since there's numerous people saying that this went on. But I need to let you all know something, and this is the disclaimer that I have for this. And I need every single person watching this video to please pay attention to this particular statement. Do not, and I mean do not, listen to any media source that tells you that a Shipt shop and being a Shipt shopper pays $15 to $25 an hour. If you hear that, please, for the love of God, ignore that. And the reason why I'm being so dramatic is because it's so frustrating to me that I have to do all this work, all this monitoring to see if I can get a good shop that may have a good promo pay or may be worth my while for people to, or for Shipt as a company to go and tell people that we're making all of this money in order to help themselves. But incidentally, in my opinion, kind of hurts us because other people don't think that, being a Shipt shopper isn't a struggle because you're making money, but it is because it's arbitrary. And it also is because you don't always make $15 to $25 an hour. As a matter of fact, in most of the shops, I didn't make that. So, again, like, I think that you just can't believe everything you hear. So, like, let's talk about some of the pros and the cons of doing this as a side hustle. So, starting with the pros, flexibility is I think somewhat of a pro because you're able to schedule your hours. You're able to schedule when you do not want to do it. You can schedule the time and the day and all this other stuff, which is pretty good. So you can kind of like work it around if you have another job, or work it around if you're maybe doing Uber, or maybe you're doing some other form of making money or making your living. So that's a good thing. The other good thing is the tipping option. I think it's cool. I think people utilize it as far as like, the customers. And I think that's pretty cool that they're like tipping people for, that service. Another pro that I would say of that is just the idea that you get to like get a little bit of exercise because you're always walking around like the grocery stores and you're trying to find things, in the grocery store. So you're always like kind of like on your feet. Another pro, is, especially compared to Uber, is that although you are using your car, you're not using your car as much as if you were doing something like a Uber. I mean, you are delivering the groceries, but it's not as bad as, again, if you were doing something like Uber, because that will really exhaust your gas, and this won't exhaust your gas as much, in my opinion. So, again, take that as a comparison to Uber more as like just a pro by its own self. I think that the promos are definitely pros, again, because the promos allow you to make a little bit extra money than the amount of money that you're making just from like doing these shops solely by itself. The other thing too that I think is a pro about Shipt personally is just your ability to what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily like be business minded, but understand like that business mindset a little bit better. And the reason why I feel like it kind of it helps with that is because you have to like basically track a lot of your stuff. Like you have to track your mileage and like if you drive and your gas and things like that. And the reason why I think this is a pro is because it makes you a more independent person, because it makes you a person who's more apt to try to figure out how to deal with your own money. So I think that's a positive because in this world, we don't really get much of an opportunity to take control of our finances unless we are the people who create the opportunities for ourselves. That's when we really take, initiative on our own finances like that. So I think that's a pro as well too. Now let's talk about the cons. The pay can be a con because sometimes you see some of those like pays for the orders. So the pay for the orders, sometimes they're like not really all that good. For example, like you could see a order and it may say that it'll pay you $9 to $12 and it'll be 2 hours worth of work. That's pennies. Like that's nothing. So I think that for something like that, I don't really think that that's worth it. Um, I don't think that like another like not so good thing is like the arbitrariness. Like you don't really see shops like frequently, like orders frequently, so you have to kind of look out and hope that you can get one because sometimes like they're not really like available at the times you may need them to be available. And so again, that flexibility is a give and take. So that's why I said it's somewhat of a positive, but it's also somewhat of a negative. It's somewhat a negative because it can be kind of arbitrary and you don't know if you're going to get a shop or not. Even if you say, hey, I want to do this at 12 o'clock, but then there's nothing there, scheduled for 12 o'clock. And then you'll feel bad if like, or you'll want to kick yourself, I guess, in the foot if you see that now there's a shop at 1 o'clock, but at 1 o'clock you have to go do thing A, B, C, or D. So, I mean, I think that's another like con to doing it is that you have to realize that it is not going to be a good full-time thing and you will not consistently get work because there are not consistently people who are ordering it, every single hour on the hour. There's some times where people aren't doing any orders at all. So that's another thing to just kind of be conscious of. Another con about it is the rating system. This is a huge con. Now, it's huge because of what it could mean as an end result. So I'm looking at the bigger picture, but and I guess like as a smaller picture type of scale, I don't think it's a big issue. The rating system is an issue because essentially it's kind of broken. So there's of course 5 ratings you can give a person 1 through 5, and what tends to happen is a lot of people who are like the orderers, like they can rate you on any of them, and if your rating gets too low, kind of just like an Uber, you could get kicked off basically the app, which is something that you definitely don't want because you can't make money. But the reason why I say it's a con is because you're not able to get feedback. So like if you mess something up or if you didn't do something right or if you did something that could have offended your customer, orderer, whatever you want to call them. I've been throwing words around. I've been saying order, customer. I've been saying shops and orders. So I mean, just bear with me here. Anyways, if you offended them in some way or you did something that they didn't like or whatever it was, you won't know what it is because you're not able to get feedback. In turn, you're also not able to like rate your the people who are actually like giving out the orders as well too, because I mean you may run into somebody who's like just a nasty person, or you may run into somebody who just I don't know, you don't want to I guess like not necessarily like you should try to do whatever you can to help out your community, of course, but maybe like you're in a downtown area and it's usually like really crazy and it's a lot to deal with and you're afraid you're going to get a ticket and just little things like that. Like maybe it's some type of stipulation where you're like not really comfortable with dealing with that, and you may like be in a position where like you can't afford to do that, or whatever your circumstance is, for whatever reason it's your preference that you don't want to go in that area. You're not going to be able to like say, hey, can I like be excluded from picking up this I guess order or whatever, because the only way you'll be able to identify whose order it is if you can make the connection between going to that specific place again, and if that kind of like works out. But again, like I said, the rating system is a con because you essentially cannot get feedback to try to improve as a shopper. If you would like to improve as a shopper and like do a better job at your job, if people have been like hitting you and giving you low ratings and things like that, I just don't really think it's fair, because if you get kicked off the app and you don't know why, I mean, I just don't think it's right. And then there have been times where like I've been rated low and I didn't think I did anything wrong. I thought I did everything perfect. I thought I was kind and polite, and I asked the person if they needed anything extra and got there in a timely fashion, didn't try to bother them too much, and then they rated me low. Sometimes I just totally did not understand it, and I just wish there was feedback for me to know how I could improve as a shopper. So those are like just some cons. And then the other thing too is sometimes there's system issues. Sometimes they say that there's orders available and there's not. Again, like that, I think those are like little bugs, but those are kind of like the comes with the territory. Those are like little I guess things that happen like when you're a newer company. So I mean that's something that'll happen. So another thing I want to talk to you all about is who I would recommend Shipt to, and would I recommend it as a side hustle. So first, I'll answer the question of would I recommend it as a side hustle. I would, and I would because it does allow you the utility and the flexibility to be able to make your money when you want to, and then it gives you certain shops where you have a new way where you can make money. So it does. So it is good, supplementally. So who would I recommend it to? I would recommend it to somebody who's looking for some extra cash. I would recommend it to somebody who wants to make a little bit extra because they feel like their job is not giving them enough. Like if they want to make, maybe $100 extra or whatever, I would recommend it to that person. Or if they want to make $200 extra, I would recommend it to that person as well too. I think that a person who is looking to like just get some extra cash, like for whatever reason it is, I think they could highly benefit on something like this, and they could customize it to their schedule. So I think that's something that is going to be beneficial. Like I said, what items do I think you need for it? First of all, I think you need an app that tracks like your mileage and tracks your gas. So I said like there's an app there's called Stride Drive. I do that to track my mileage. I believe you can like track gas and other things like that on there, but any other one is pretty sufficient. Like, yeah, I think you can do Mile IQ, that's a good one, or Everlance, that's another good one. So any app that's going to basically track your, I guess, stuff that you're really like expending. And the reason why is because essentially as an independent contractor, you pay taxes on all the money that you make. So you want to be able to write off like a lot of those write off things so that you won't have such a heavy load with your with the taxes that you have to pay back, or get to the point where you do it so well that you don't actually owe anything. So that's something to kind of consider. Another thing to consider too is like buying the personal Shipt bags. That's not a necessity in my opinion, but it could help because you could have like small orders and they could help you to kind of transport like the groceries that you could get to like the customer's door, and then you could take the bag back, or it could help you to separate if you have two different orders that you did at the same time. Again, if you're newer, I don't really recommend you do that, but if you're experienced, and Shipt will even like allow you to do this once you become a more experienced shopper, you can do two at once at the same time and like do the deliveries then. Like you could use that to kind of separate like the groceries that you're doing. You could be doing two different orders and they could be two small orders. So again, that's something to kind of consider. But as far as other items that you would need, Trying to think if there's anything else really. I think that's it because really I think what it comes down to is just making sure like you're tracking your expenses and your gas and things like that. So other than that, I think you should be okay. And then as far as what my overall ratings are for it, so based on a criteria of flexibility, networking experiences, um, your ability to I guess like earn a certain amount of money and things like that, I would give it around the same rating that I gave Uber. So I'll give it, about a 5.5 out of 10, or like around a 57%. I think is kind of like what I averaged it out to be after kind of giving it certain ratings. The reason why is because I think that it's a good side hustle for a person who wants to just make a little bit of extra cash. I don't think that it's good for somebody who wants to make a full-time living. The reason why I say 57% is because there's some kinks I think that need to be fixed. I think while the flexibility is good, the flexibility can be hindersome, and it can be hindersome because sometimes they're just not available shops. So really, you're only so flexible because you can put yourself on a schedule, but there might not be work available for you. So therefore, you might not make money. I don't think, as far as networking goes, I don't think that there's like a big benefit to like the networking. I mean, like you see the people you deliver the groceries to for like a couple minutes or so, and then you pretty much walk out the doors. And then some people, you don't even have a big dialogue with them. So it's not like Uber where you talk to them for a long time and you could possibly make a business connection. I think it's different. The ethics are definitely pretty decent from what I understand. They're pretty on top of when there's disputes and when there's issues. So they do kind of like take care of that to a certain extent. So you won't really have too much of a problem there. Again, pay could be better, but the promos do make up for it. Tipping option makes up for it. So I think that part is good too. So again, when I say 57%, don't think of it as an E or an F. I say E because in college that's an E. I say F because in high school that's essentially an F. But think about it as I think it's an average to maybe like mediocre type of thing. And the only reason why I would rate it that is because I think it's kind of a newer company. So, of course, there's going to be growing pains with a newer company. I think for what it's worth, if we're talking about it as a side hustle, I mean, I think there's a lot of positives to it. And I think that if we were basing it solely on the fact that it was a side hustle alone, that rating might be a little bit higher. But because we have to cover all bases, we have to cover flexibility, networking, ethics, things such as that. And I think it's important that we think about all of the elements that kind of come with it and things that could improve. Really, to be honest, it puts me in the mindset of Uber a little bit. Like sometimes you're waiting around for rides, and with Shipt, sometimes you're waiting around for shops or orders. I keep saying shops. Sometimes you keep waiting around for orders. So, again, those are just some things to think about. Personally, as a shopper, I like it. I actually like the idea of being mobile and moving around and making money while I'm doing it. I think that's pretty cool. So, I mean, again, I'm giving it as a 57% as a side hustle, but as a side hustle, I personally enjoy it. I just wish there was more of it. I wish there were more shops because I would do it as a full-time gig if I could, because it is really cool. And you do get to meet really cool people, and the people I admire, they really work with you, and they really try to, establish that partnership with you. So if like you need something, like you need to figure out where an item is and all that, they're really kind and respectful, and they really try to help you out. Whereas if you're just a regular customer, you might, I mean, like I'm not trying to, of course, like talk badly about anybody who works at Meyer. You might not get that same type of chipperness that you would get if they knew you were a Shipt shopper. Because trust me, they have seen probably at this point hundreds of Shipt shoppers come in there and start shopping, so they already know to kind of be on it because we're basically like co-workers, basically, but just in different sectors. But anyways, so if you guys got a chance to check out this video and you like what you saw, feel free to subscribe to The Hustler's Perspective. If you guys want to check this or what's going on with this on Facebook, then you can follow me at the Hustler's Perspective YouTube channel. If you want to follow my blog, then feel free to follow me at thehustlersjackpot.com. If you would like to follow me at my Facebook page for my blog, you can go to the Hustlers Jackpot and you can follow me there. If you would like to follow my business page on Instagram, you can follow me at the Hustlers Jackpot. And if you would like to follow me at my Instagram page, my actual personal one, then you can follow me at Cool Colas. Anyway, I hope everybody has a good day today. I hope everybody got a chance to enjoy the video once again, and there will be a lot more to come. And I just want to just tell you all, next week I'll be implementing my day or video a day program. So for like a whole week, I'm going to be doing one video a day. So you guys stay tuned because there's going to be a lot of great stuff to come. I'll see you guys later. Keep hustling.